first step is find a comfortable place to sit. You have the option to sit Indian style on the floor, or you can sit in your seat with your feet flat on the ground and your hands in your lap. So the next step is close your eyes. We're going to practice a technique such as breathing the flower and blowing out the candle. Let's get started. So when you breathe in the flower, you want to try to smell everything the flower has to give. So take a deep breath in through your nose, filling up your chest and your stomach with air, and blow out the candle. Exhaling all of the air in your body. Let's try it again. Breathe in the flower, blow out the candle. Breathe in the flower, blow out the candle. Let's practice on your own. We're going to discuss personal safety and boundaries. First thing is, pull out a piece of paper and a pencil or a crayon. So on your piece of paper, I'd like you to draw a big circle. Inside of that circle, I'd like you to write your name or draw a picture of yourself. Once you complete this task, put your pencil down. So, this circle represents a boundary. What do you think a boundary is? What does a boundary represent? So if you think a boundary is a limit or a line that divides an area, you are correct. A boundary can be physical or it can be invisible. It's just something that divides an area. It's something that may represent two different spaces in one area. So for an example, if there's a fence around your house, that fence represents a boundary for your yard versus the neighbors. Another boundary may be the bathroom door. The bathroom door divides you and your personal space from others that may be in the bathroom at the same time. Can you think of some examples of other boundaries that may exist? So now that we know what boundaries are, let's discuss personal boundaries. What do you think a personal boundary may be? What's the difference between a regular boundary, like a fence, versus a personal boundary? Let's think about it and discuss. So a personal boundary may be a physical, emotional, or mental limit that we have to protect ourselves. A personal boundary is what separates how we feel and how we think and how we act from those around us. So can you think based on that definition what a personal boundary may be? I have an example. I have a personal boundary for my space. My personal boundary means I don't want people touching me. That's a personal boundary. If I put my arm out like this, if you pass my hand, you're now inside of my personal space, which is my limit. So the first part of developing healthy personal boundaries is speaking up. You have a right to have personal boundaries. If someone is treating you poorly or unfairly, speak up. That means telling your teacher, telling Miss Jackson, myself, Miss Graham, Miss Peyton, or your mom and dad. But make sure that you let someone know when someone crosses that personal boundary.
Let's check out a big kid tip. Make your boundaries clear. When you feel uncomfortable, you have to speak up and tell the person you do not like what is happening and how it makes you feel. Be confident about your boundary. No means no. Treat others how you want to be treated, and make sure others treat you how you want to be treated.
Protect your boundary. If someone continues to disrespect the boundary, it's important to let them know every time that it's not okay.
So boundaries are used to help protect you. You have to speak up when someone is mistreating you or doing something. Let's practice using the word no. On the count of 3, I want us to all say no in our own way. 1, 2, 3. No! Let's try again. On the count of 3, let's say no in a different way. 1, 2, 3. No! All right. Can you think of creative ways to say no when someone wants you to do something that is outside of your personal boundary? Try now. Count to 3 and then say no. And just because you're friends with someone, that doesn't mean you have the same boundaries. Your friend may want to do something that you don't want to do, or do something that you feel is unsafe. Do yourself a favor and speak up. Tell your friend no, you don't want to participate. Don't let someone force you to do something that you don't want to do just because they're your friend. So now that we've talked about boundaries and personal boundaries, let's go back to our circle. This circle with your name in it or your picture represents your boundary line and your circle of safety. So let's think about what goes inside of our circle of safety. When do you think it's a good time to use a deep breathing exercise? Put your thinking caps on. Think about when is the best time to use a technique like this. I have a couple of ideas myself. Let me give you an example. Sometimes I use a deep breathing strategy when I'm frustrated. This is a good time to help me calm my body and get my mind straight before I move on to my next task. Can you give me an example of a time you should use a breathing strategy? So before we end our session today, I just want you to take a moment and think about your personal boundary and your circle of safety and do an extra activity when you get home. First, show your mom, your dad, or your sister and brother how to take deep breaths. Try to incorporate and use this technique when you're home. And number 2, discuss who's inside of your circle of safety at home. Who are people that you can trust to take care of you and make sure that you're happy and you're respected. And number 3, practice using the word no for when people are crossing your personal boundary. Have a good day.